I think if he does get traded, I think it's going to be Phoenix because Miami, we did 2 podcasts where I didn't even realize this rule, so I apologize, but they can't have 2 rookie extension max guys on the same roster, which means Bam cannot be traded for KD or be in a trade for him unless Ben Simmons also gets traded.
Yeah.
Which means that, could you trade Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler for Ben Simmons and Kevin Durant? You could. Would Miami want to do that? I don't know. But that's kind of trade would have to be. There's a Zion possibility that I think would be pretty complicated because he's still on a rookie contract. Everybody and their brother is trying to get the Jalen and Daniel Tyson picks thing going, which I'd love to throw my body in front of. There's a Trae Young, I think, on paper, once you get into July 1st, that I'm making up right now. I'm not recording. But since they have Murray, and if you're Atlanta, if Brooklyn just came to you and it's like, hey, what about Trae for KD? What would Atlanta do? And then the only other one I have would be the AD one. And it's funny, the AD, there's an AD Westbrook, KD, Kyrie, but I just don't think the Lakers can throw in enough from their end to make that worth it for Brooklyn. If I'm taking Westbrook back, you better give me some fucking assets for $47 million and some other stuff. KD's better than AD. So they would be giving up the first and third best players in their trade and taking back an albatross contract. And I don't think the Lakers have enough. My point is, I think it's Phoenix, and I think that's who, if this happens in the next day or week, that's the team.
But do you feel good about that? About, let's say, Ayton? I mean, I think for the Suns, the question is, can you keep Bridges out of it somehow? That would be the magic.
You can't.
So then it's Ayton, Bridges, Cam Johnson,
no, I don't
whatever.
even think Cam Johnson's in it. I think it's Ayton, Bridges, a couple picks, and a couple swaps, something like that. I think that's the trade. And if you're Phoenix, you're going, we have Chris Paul and Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. Durant's got at least 5 years left. He's aging beautifully. You try not to think about the lower body stuff and the fact that you went through this with Penny Hardaway and a couple other times in franchise history. And you're just like, we can put any sort of a title team with those 3 guys as the foundation. If we keep Cam Johnson, we'll get some role players. We'll flip Jay Crowder or we'll keep him, whatever. But we will be able to compete at a really high level for the next couple of years. It also buys you some Chris Paul as he's getting older. Maybe he's not an 8-month a year guy anymore. But I think that's the trade. And then can I present a zag that I think's sitting there for somebody?
Please.
DeAndre Ayton, Ben Simmons, and Mikal Bridges as a front line. It's a pretty good defensive team.
Great defensive team.
You keep Kyrie. You keep Seth Curry. You have Harris. Royce O'Neal coming off the bench. They inexplicably traded for him today, but I was like, that's not the worst team in the world. It's not like that's rock bottom. That's probably a 5 or a 6 seed at worst, and would be really hard to, really hard to score against at least. So I don't know. I don't feel like Brooklyn. I don't feel like this is a disaster for them because best case scenario, they just keep KD. Worst case scenario, I do think they'll get somebody for him, right? It's not like they're giving him away.
No. They're going to get somebody very good. It's just, are they going to be very good in a way that 2 years from now, it's still sustaining your franchise and carrying you upward, right? Versus just kind of like the team you described. I think that could be a playoff team. That could be certainly a play-in or better team. But if Kyrie leaves, what happens? Where does your shot creation come from? How are you regenerating that star power, that shot creation? Where is that coming from? Because that's kind of the problem with a Mikal Bridges, DeAndre Ayton centric package, right? Is you're not getting star type shot creators unless Ayton becomes that. Unless Mikal Bridges really flexes out and becomes a much more high usage pick and roll guy, which he's shown some chops at doing that, but I don't know that I'm betting on him becoming, an all-star anytime soon.
There's a fun 3-way I was thinking about as I was driving my son home from a football thing today. Because D'Angelo Russell, another guy who's very available, right? Very, very available. Nets have already had him. And could there be some sort of 3-way where Kyrie goes to the Lakers, Westbrook goes to Minnesota, and Russell and something else goes to the Nets? And then the Nets get picks from the Lakers. And then the Lakers send 1 pick to Minnesota to take the Westbrook deal. Something like that. But it feels like if it's 3 problems and the salaries are generally near each other, we've seen this happen before. Westbrook most famously, where it's like, oh, you have a problem. I have a problem too. Wait, the numbers are near each other. But I do wonder if maybe that's another way to get rid of Kyrie. I don't think they take Westbrook back.
No, nor should they. And that really is where so much of the very complicated constructions that you laid out, where it's AD and Westbrook. I don't know. That just doesn't seem very plausible to me. I'm kind of enticed by this Minnesota option. I don't think the Wolves would talk themselves into it. That's a lot of oxygen you're taking away from Anthony Edwards and Karl Towns all of a sudden.
Can you imagine Westbrook and Ant-Man together?
Oh.
I kind of like it. I like the thought of Russ in Minnesota for a year. I'm not against it.
I would watch the hell out of it. There's no question about that. But if I were Minnesota, would I do it? No.
Yeah, probably not.